Now, I'm sure a lot of Mexican Americans know this story, but for the rest of us, let me put you on to something that this country never wanted us to know. There was a decade in Texas where Mexican Americans were hunted, not secretly, not by fringe groups. I'm talking Texas Rangers, sheriffs, and white vigilantes, killing people with badges pinned to their chests like permission slips. And this period has a name: La Matanza, the massacre, 1910 to 1920. And the only reason you didn't learn about it in school is because Texas made sure you never did. So how did this all start? Let me tell you. Texas was in a panic. The Mexican Revolution was happening right across the border, and white ranchers were afraid that the land that they had stolen might not stay stolen. So the state did what America always does when it wants to justify violence. It manufactured a threat. Mexicans are dangerous. Mexicans are bandits. Mexicans are rebels. Mexicans are spies. And once you label an entire group as a threat, you've already written the permission slip for violence. That's when the killings began. Door-to-door raids, kidnappings, interrogations, shootings without trial. Some people were murdered crossing the wrong patch of road. Some were murdered just for being Mexican in the wrong town. Texas called it law and order, but history calls it what it was: state-sanctioned terror. Entire communities lived in fear. Fear of men on horseback wearing ranger badges. No warrants, no trials, no accountability. Historians confirm that hundreds of Mexican Americans were killed. And the real number may reach into the thousands, because most of those deaths weren't documented. Families were scared to ask questions. Bodies were dumped in the Rio Grande. Names went unrecorded. And witnesses stayed silent to stay alive. The Rangers carried out lynchings, public shootings, and executions without trial, all under the banner of protection. This wasn't a riot, it wasn't a conflict, it was a purge. By 1919, the violence was so widespread that Texas legislature had no choice but to launch an investigation. The Canales investigation. Hundreds of pages of testimony. Witnesses describing murders, tortures, disappearances. And what happened? Almost no one was punished. A few rangers were dismissed. Most kept their jobs and some were even promoted. And their findings? Buried, not taught, not acknowledged. Texas rewrote the story and turned the Rangers into heroes. They didn't forget La Matanza. They concealed it. This wasn't ancient history. People who survived La Matanza lived well into the 1980s and 1990s. Their grandchildren are alive right now. And the fear that still sits in some Mexican American families, that don't draw attention, don't call the police, that don't make noise, fear, that's not cultural memory, that's generational trauma. Meanwhile, the same Texas Rangers who carried out the killings, some of their names are still on state buildings, still in museums, still glamorized on TV. Texas preserved their mythology and erased the people they terrorized. La Matanza wasn't a footnote, it was an ethnic cleansing. And the only reason most people don't know about it today is because Texas decided that its pride mattered more than the truth.